Welcome to the What's New with Lexis Fall 2017 training. My name is Heather Caro and I'm your Lexis rep. You guys are used to getting emails from me, so you definitely have my contact information, but just in case you have any follow-up questions following this video, feel free to send me an email to heather.caro@lexisnexis.com or even send me a text or give me a call if it's easier to answer your question that way. Today, the topics that I'm going to cover in this video, the first three are newer things on Lexis. So we're going to talk about Lexis Answers, search term maps, and then the Wagstaff Group Practice Guide, which actually has videos embedded now. And then the last three things we're going to discuss, Verdict and Settlement Analyzer, sharing folders, and Explore content, aren't necessarily new to Lexis, but there are a few things that I have gotten questions about over the last couple of months. And so for some of you, it may be new, and some people, maybe it's just a refresher, but I thought it would be good to go over those things as well. And so the way that I am going to do this training is first explain each of those tools or features that I just mentioned to you, and then I'll actually show you on Lexis Advanced where to find those tools or how to use them. All right, so the first one that we're going to focus on is Lexis Answers. So what is Lexis Answers? Basically, it's a way that you can start your research with an answer. So it is Lexis' first go at machine learning or artificial intelligence. And currently, whenever you ask Lexis Advanced a question, it supports 5 different ones that will give you Lexis answer cards for. And so the first one is definitions. You can find the elements for a cause of action. You can look up standards of review, find the burden of proof, or even look up doctrines. And so the other thing to note is you can look for a specific state jurisdiction by just typing that into the search box whenever you're asking the question. All right, so we're going to switch over to Lexis Advanced now, and I'm going to show you what it looks like and how you can get those answers. So when you're on Lexis Advanced, you would just come to the search box and start typing in your query. So let's just say we were interested in what is the doctrine of last clear chance. And so you'll notice in the drop-down menu or in the word wheel, suggestions will be automatically generated for you. If you see what you're looking for, you could just select it there, or you could continue typing it out into that search box. So once we run that search, you'll notice it pulls up all of the results for that particular question that you asked. But up here at the top, you now have this Lexis Answers card. And so you can read through, better understand whatever it is you're looking for, whether it be a doctrine, a definition, elements for a cause of action. And then beneath the explanation given to you, you'll notice that you get a hyperlink that tells you exactly where we're pulling this information from. And because this is a definition, it's pulling it from our legal dictionary. If I change up our search a little bit, let's just say, what are the elements of negligent infliction of emotional distress? And let me go ahead and take that a step further, actually. And I'm going to come back into that search box, and I'm going to say in Florida. So what that will do is now give me an answer card where it lays out the elements of negligent infliction of emotional distress, but above and beyond just giving me the elements, it also gives me a case from the jurisdiction that I typed into that search box. And so now if I'm using this to cite to for a particular argument that I'm making, I have a case from my jurisdiction that lays out those elements for me. And so Lexis Answers, as I mentioned, is just a way that you can start your research with an answer, and it will start to guide you onto those authorities that you should be relying on for whatever research it is that you're conducting. The next tool that I wanted to talk to you about are search term maps. So what search term maps are, it's essentially a visualization tool that maps out all of your search terms in a case document on Advanced, and it just helps you easily spot patterns or the densest concentration of your search terms and where they're found throughout that document. So because it's an interactive tool, it impacts how you're going to navigate through your search results. Some of the features of the search term map that I'm going to show you once we switch over to Lexis Advanced, we're going to talk about the search word coding, color coding, the search term location bar, how you can turn this option on or off, and then also that it will display up to 5 terms or phrases depending on how many you've included in your search. So the search terms map will appear on any page that you run a search for whenever you're looking for cases. So you would just come into the red search bar, type in whatever your key terms are. Here we're going to do a search for student loans and discharge and undue hardship. And whenever you run that search, whenever we're looking at the cases tab, you'll notice up at the top that you have this little color code system. And so what it does is breaks down all of the key terms or legal phrases of art that you've used in your search, and it finds them throughout all of the documents returned in your results. So if we come down here and just take a look at the very first case, you'll notice it color-coded student loans to appear in green, discharge to be in orange, and undue hardship to be in purple. So then I can use these little bars to bounce around the document and see exactly where those key terms are appearing. And then I can read those little blurbs and see if this case is really discussing my issue or my key terms in a way that I maybe wanted to read more about through this opinion. And so, like I said, you just bounce around, click on it, and then that allows you to see the different parts of the document. The other thing, if you don't necessarily like this color code system, you can turn it off to where all of your key terms or legal phrases are just all highlighted in one color. And so to do that, you would just come up to the top right-hand side of the screen over here. This is the graphical view that we're looking at, which gives you the search term map. But if you didn't want that, if you just click on full view, it actually takes that search term map feature out and it just highlights your key terms throughout the document. So when you're scanning through it, you won't necessarily see differentiation between any of the words or key phrases that you've searched. You'll just kind of see where they're appearing throughout that document. The next feature that was just added to Lexis Advanced as of August of this year is the Wagstaff Group Practice Guide, the Federal Civil Procedure Before Trial Treatise. And this is the #1 resource that all civil litigators are using whenever they have questions about anything. So the thing that's been updated with this treatise is now we actually have videos that are embedded into it that helps you to better understand those civil procedure matters. And so by no means do I think this will become your new YouTube go-to whenever you're bored. Instead of watching those YouTube videos, now you're going to come to Lexis and watch these Wagstaff videos. However, it is something that will make studying for finals, so if you're in Civ Pro, this treatise and these videos will certainly help explain all of those issues that you have to know, like the back of your hand, for your final. And even once you get to the point of studying for the bar, this is a great treatise that you can come and watch these videos whenever you're just tired of reading to better understand whatever those key issues or topics are that you're trying to study. All right, so to access this treatise, all you would do is start to type in Wagstaff Treatise into the search bar. You'll notice that it will appear as the source up here at the top. So if I go ahead and just select that on the source drop-down menu, it'll take me to the table of contents. So just like if I went to the library and went into the stacks to look for this treatise, what this page is giving me is the table of contents. So just like if I open the book, that first page telling me what is laid out throughout this treatise. If you're looking for the videos though, you're going to want to scroll down to the bottom of that screen and you'll notice Appendix B is a list of videos. So you'll just expand on that little box there. And if you just want to check out a list of all of the videos available, click on that hyperlink. And then you can scroll through all of the videos. So if you had questions about the Erie Doctrine, if you had a question about pleadings or subject matter jurisdiction, you can come in and watch this rather than having to go in and read all those various sections of the treatise on your own. The nice thing about this is you can either access these videos through the appendix that I just showed you, or if you were just doing normal search on these topics on Lexis Advance, if you pulled up one of the sections of this treatise, these videos are actually embedded into those documents as well. So you don't necessarily have to come to this table of contents to reach all of the videos, but if you just wanted to use this for study purposes, you do have the option to access all of those videos directly in the table of contents. The fourth tool that I mentioned we were going to discuss is the Verdict and Settlement Analyzer. And so this is a great tool that you can use whenever you're evaluating a case, if you're just trying to figure out how much that case is worth, if you have to write an opinion letter or draft a settlement demand letter, maybe you're prepping for mediation, you have to know how much a case is worth to do those tasks. And so this tool will give you the amount that a case is worth over time, and you can even narrow it down to a specific jurisdiction, because as we all know, it's likely that whatever Florida says about one injury, California will say something completely different. And so you do want to have an idea of what a specific injury is worth within your jurisdiction and not just nationwide. So coming back to Lexis Advance, you will find Settlement and Verdict Analyzer in this top left-hand drop-down menu. And if you scroll down, about 4 down from the top, you'll notice that tool there. So if we go ahead and select it, the red search box that you guys are very familiar with, so you would just go and type in whatever your injury is there. And so let's just say we're dealing with a client who got bitten by a dog. And so we're going to just type in dog bite and run a search. What that does is it goes on Lexis Advance and pulls all the information related to dog bites and how much those cases have generally been worth. And so remember I said that we really want to focus on our jurisdiction. So we'll come over to the left-hand side of the screen, and I'll expand that court tab, and that then lets me narrow it down to a federal or state jurisdiction. So if I wanted to narrow it down to cases specifically from Florida, I'll just go ahead and select that in my state jurisdiction list. And then when I come through and look at the results, you'll notice it breaks down all of that information into 4 separate charts. The first one tells you the number of cases per year by resolution, the number of cases per year, the award in US dollars by resolution, and then the percentage of cases by resolution. So generally are the outcomes for the plaintiff or the defendant, or things settling outside of cases. What is the typical outcome? And so if you wanted to look at any of these graphs in a larger view, you simply click on it and it'll expand it to be larger on your screen. Because we're looking at dog bites, maybe we want to see over here in 2017, you notice that it says there were 5 cases in 2017 in Florida dealing with dog bites. And so if I have this case before me, I probably want to focus on and see what the courts or what settlements are generally being offered for dog bites this year. So if I select that one bar, it updates all of that information, and then if I scroll to the bottom of that screen, those 5 cases are then broken down into these little blurbs so I can better understand what happened with those cases in particular. So if I open up that very first one, rather than going on Lexis and reading the opinion and having to find these award amounts myself, what this tool does is gives you a breakdown. So it gives me a case summary. What are the basic facts and the injuries from this case? It gives me a little bit more information about the specific injury. What was the length of this trial? And then toward the bottom, it breaks down the award amount and lets you know exactly how much they got and for what reason. And so again, this is just a great tool to know about whenever you're having to evaluate a case or draft some sort of settlement agreement or even prepare for mediation. So the 5th topic that we're going to discuss is sharing folders. I'm sure you already know how to create folders on Lexis Advance, but a lot of people didn't know that you can actually share them. And so why would you want to share your folders? Well, if you have a study group, you can share it with everyone in the group so people can edit or highlight, make notes to those documents that are saved to the folder. You could also share it with a professor that you're maybe working on an assignment for, if they were curious as to where you found some of this information, or even just almost a table of authorities for everything that you've researched. You can put all of that information into a folder and share it directly with that professor. And then finally, whenever you're in practice, you of course would want to be able to share any of your research with other attorneys that are working on the same file as you. And so what this feature does is allows you to create a folder to organize all of your research, and then you can allow other people to either view it or even become editors and share information with you in that same folder. Once you're back on Lexis Advance, there are two different ways that you can access your folders. The first is from this More drop-down menu. You can select it directly up here at the top, or if you're on the home page for Lexis Advance, you can scroll down and notice that blue box has all of the folders that you've created in the past. So if I click on View All Folders, there I'll be able to go into any of the folders that I wanted to share. And so let's just say for purposes of maybe a study group, you wanted to share a folder for all of your class prep materials. So if you open any folder that you've already created, once you're inside of it, you'll notice at the top that you have this Actions drop-down menu. Once you select that Actions drop-down menu, you would just come to the bottom, click Share Folder. Then you come into this little box here, and then you can type in the person's name that you wanted to share this folder with or their email address. And so just to give you an example, I'll use one of my student reps. So as you start typing whatever name you're looking for, you'll notice you can find their name there, select it, then click Add to Share. Then they'll appear in this drop-down list, and you can either make them an editor or a viewer. So if you only want them to be able to view the contents of the folder but not necessarily add anything to it or highlight or annotate anything in that folder, you would just make them a viewer. If you, however, would like for them to be able to add their own documents to it, or even go into documents that you've already saved and highlight and maybe make those annotations in the side margins of those cases or secondary materials that you've saved, you can make them an editor. Then once you save that information, it will send a note to that person that you shared that document or that folder with, and it'll let them know that they now have access to either view or edit the contents of the folder that you shared with them. The sixth and final thing that I wanted to briefly discuss with you are the Explore Content options. And so the Explore Content feature is just located front and center whenever you get to the Lexis Advance homepage, and it just shows you all of the available sources so that you can quickly break down and search for something in particular, whether that be you're just looking for case law, maybe you're just looking for materials from a particular area of law, maybe you wanted to find out everything that's available from a particular jurisdiction. All of that can very quickly be done from the Explore Content on the home screen. So as I mentioned, the Explore Content is right here front and center whenever you're on Lexis Advance on the home page. And so it's broken down by content type, federal materials, state materials, practice area or industry, so areas of law, or all of our international materials. And so the two things that I'll show you that you may or may not have known are here. First, let's go ahead and take a look at the news. And so if you open up that news content, what it does is shows you all of the publications that are available on Lexis. Because there are over 30,000 different sources or different publications available, they're actually not listed completely on this page, but just know that you have a very comprehensive collection of publications, nation and really internationally, nationwide, that you can search for free and read those articles in their entirety. And so if you have a professor, let's say, that wanted you to subscribe to the New York Times or the Washington Post because they wanted to be able to discuss issues from articles that are coming from those publications, you don't have to spend $1. You can come to your Lexis account and you can access and read all of those articles in their entirety directly through your Lexis account. So if you click on that news tab, this will show you a breakdown. So if you're just very interested in, let's say, newspapers, you can come down and look specifically for the newspaper. So whether it's the Tampa Bay Times, the Orlando Centennial, whatever the case may be, you can find those publications and read the articles directly on your Lexis account. Let's go back to the home screen. And maybe I wanted to just check out all of the materials that are available from my state. So if we come over to that state tab, and then we'll go down and look for Florida over here in that first column, open it up, and what it does is shows me every single material or source from Florida that's available on Lexis. So here we have all of our case materials. Scrolling down, we can see what administrative code and materials we have. Any of those secondary sources, so Flodger, a family law treatise. If I wanted to take it a step further, once you're getting to the part where, let's say, maybe you're in an advanced legal research and writing class and you're given an assignment where you have to draft a pleading and you've never done that before and you have no idea what it looks like. Well, if you're in Florida, you definitely want to narrow it down to that jurisdiction to see what sample forms look like. Because we're in the Florida tab, we're going to go ahead, take a look at all Florida forms, and then I can see for each practice area all of the forms that are available. And so it's just really nice to know if you're in a particular jurisdiction, you're not really sure what sources are available, or if you're looking for a particular form or a particular secondary source, if you go into that Explore content, it will break it down piece by piece for you. All right, so we have now covered all of the topics that I mentioned at the beginning of this virtual training. So first we talked about Lexis Answers and how that really gives you an answer whenever you're just starting your research. We talked about search term maps, so seeing exactly where your terms appear in those documents. We talked about the videos that are embedded in the Wagstaff treatise, specifically dealing with civil procedure issues. We then took a look at the Verdict and Settlement Analyzer, which of course gives you the value of a case. I showed you guys how to share folders and also how you can use the Explore content to really filter down and find exactly what you're looking for without having to run a search and then use those post-search filters once you've run a search for key terms. All right, so as you guys know, I'm here to help. You have the live support chat feature as well as the 1-800 number that's available 24/7. If you ever have any questions, whether it's you're locked out of your Lexis account or you are not finding something you're looking for, maybe you just can't come up with the search terms to find what you're looking for, you can always reach out to our customer support for that. You also have me as a resource as well as the student reps, and you can find all of their contact information on the home page. Along with this video, I included an email that you got the link from how you can get points to go along with it. So be sure to take a look and take a quiz that will allow you to earn the 200 points associated with this training. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you around campus this semester.